hold in my hand something called the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is not a scholarly dictionary, Bible dictionary. Not saying there's anything wrong with it, but by definition, it's compact.
Right.
So this is something for kind of a layperson. But let me tell you and the listeners a little bit something special about this. The Hebrew Israelites like it, and the reason they do is because it has a sword on the cover. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. That's not why they like it, but it does have a sword on the cover because, you know, some of them like to carry swords. The real reason they like it is because some of the entries have actually been mildly influenced by some outdated theories of ethnic origins. It's kind of complex to explain right here, but it has to do with who's a Semite and who's the actually, this is old language, but the older editions of this use the term Negroes. The Hebrew Israelites actually like that because they play into that because then they can separate out in their minds with whom they call Negroes and who they call Semites, because they view themselves as Semites, and they would view Africans as being like Hamites or Cushites, so two different peoples even if they look similar. So it's kind of a long story, but some of the entries in here actually could give credence to their theories. Now, the whole book doesn't. It'd be inconsistent if they used all the entries. For example, they think white people are European descent. You know, Edomites, they call them Esau. If you look up Edomites or Esau, that doesn't go. This is something they love. In fact, if you're on Amazon and you buy the red edition of the KJV 1611 Apocrypha, this always comes up as something that customers have bought together. It's almost like the Black Hebrew Israelite How to Think You're Studying When You're Really Not Studying starter kit. But let me look at this. He's going to read the entry for the King James Version.
So we're going to see a clip of him.
Yeah,
okay.
And so I'm going to read this now, and then we're going to stop the video. But I'm going to read this now because I would like us to briefly comment on this because we're going to explain what it really means.
Okay.
And then you're going to hear him in one of the next couple clips mess it all up. But this is helpful if you understand it properly.
Right.
King James Version. When Elizabeth died in 1603, the crown passed to James I, who, by the way, Hebrew Israelites teach was a black man, part of a royal black aristocracy that were Hebrew Israelites ruling Europe for many, many years. And in fact, they teach that's why that period of time is called the Dark Ages. And that's not a joke. That's not a joke. The crown passed who had been king of Scotland for 37 years is James VI. Several months after he ascended the throne of England, he authorized a new translation of the Bible to replace the Bishop's Bible. And that's why it's sometimes called the Authorized Version. He authorized it. King James didn't translate it. 47 of the best Hebrew and Greek scholars of the day were divided into 6 groups. 3 for the OT, 2 for the New, and 1 for the Apocrypha. So again, you can see how there's less attention given to the Apocrypha, rightfully so. And just because they translated it does not mean they viewed it as canonical. That's a whole other discussion.
Right.
But 2 of the groups met at Oxford, 2 at Cambridge, and 2 at Westminster. It's not Westminster. When a group had completed its task, its work was submitted to 12 men, 2 from each panel. Final differences of opinion were settled at a general meeting of each company. In cases of special difficulty, learned men outside the board of revisers were consulted. Marginal notes were used only to explain Hebrew and Greek words to draw attention to parallel passages. Italics were used for words not found in the original but necessary to complete the sense. I'm going to read the next little paragraph. Anything to comment on that?
No.
All right. The revisers, who received no financial remuneration for their work, completed their task in 2 years, and 9 more months were devoted to a revision of the work by a special committee consisting of 2 members from each group. In 1611, the new version was published. It did not win immediate universal acceptance, taking almost 50 years to replace the Geneva Bible in popular favor. This next part is where you're going to see Rakah really zoom in on. In the course of time, slight alterations were made, especially in spelling to conform to changing usage, but these were all done piecemeal by private enterprise. Its excellence is shown by the fact that after 350 years, it is still used in preference to any other version in the English-speaking Protestant world for both public and private use. So there's that. But he's going to twist it.
And also, I think it's a misconception to say, and of course, if you never study this whole issue out, you're just going to, I guess, buy into whoever speaks about it best.
Right.
It was never actually authorized. It seems to be that whole thing, authorized version, seems to be a printer's claim that they would put on the that they put it contain in earlier Bibles actually.
So even that's sort of a marketing blurb, you would say?
Yes, it was appointed to be read in the churches.
Okay,
that's different than saying
by the king.
Yeah, I mean that's how what kind of authorization that the king gave. It was appointed to be read in the churches. So it was never authorized. So I think that's a misleading statement to say he was authorized in that section.
That's interesting. Okay, so but he would still be described as a person who called the committee or called for a new translation. I mean, it wasn't partially due to popular pressure from the Puritans.
Yes, they gave him a petition and they wanted a translation for the people.
And these are wasn't it mainly the Puritans?
Yeah, yes.
So the funny thing is, King James, not a Calvinist,
right,
is doing some of this really in response to a popular uprising led by Calvinists.
Right.
There's something for Hebrewites to consider, as well as King James onlyists who do not like Calvinists, because Puritans, Calvinists. Just saying.
That's right.
All right, well, let's stop that one here. Eddie Dalcour, check the information below. You don't want to miss the next ones, because we're going to critique what the Hebrew Israelites say about the KJV.